You thought it was over? We're about to witness the most impactful part. Yesterday, all eyes were on the eclipse itself. But for spiritually attuned people, that may have only been the beginning. The next 48 hours can be where the real weight of this event starts showing itself. And one of the first effects may fool you completely, because it can seem very counterintuitive for some people. One of the strangest things you may notice today is a sudden desire to be alone. That can sound negative at first, especially after an event associated with heightened energy and connection. You might expect to feel more social and eager to be around people, but for some, the exact opposite can happen. If you're sensitive to energy shifts, crowds, and even normal social plans may suddenly feel like too much input. You may want to stay home, go somewhere quiet, cancel plans, or simply have a few hours where nobody needs anything from you. The important part is that you may not be sad, angry, or tired of anyone. You may simply want less coming towards you. After something as intense as a total solar eclipse, this can feel like a short retreat from everyone else's opinions, moods, requests, and attention. And surprisingly, even normally, social people may experience it strongly. It doesn't mean you need to cut people off or assume something is wrong. Sometimes the post-eclipse effect is much simpler. Being alone temporarily feels more satisfying than being surrounded by stimulation. So if that urge appeared almost out of nowhere today, don't immediately misread it. It may simply be your desire for a small pocket of space after an unusually intense few days. There is another post-eclipse effect that is much harder to explain, because it may not feel like an effect at all. You may simply notice that you're picking up on things faster than you normally would. Not in some vague sense, where everything suddenly feels different, but in a surprisingly specific way. You might know that something is off before you can explain what gave it away. Recognize where a situation is heading much earlier than usual, or notice a pattern between events that you somehow kept missing before. This is where intuition becomes interesting, because intuition isn't always a mysterious voice giving you answers. Sometimes it's simply the distance between something happening and you understanding what it means becoming much shorter. Before the eclipse, you might have needed several signs before you trusted what you were noticing. Now the first piece is enough to make the rest strangely obvious. And pay attention to how specific it gets. You may suddenly think about someone shortly before hearing from them, feel that a plan is going to change before you're told anything, or have a very clear instinct not to pursue something that looked perfectly fine on paper. None of these moments individually prove anything supernatural, and you shouldn't force meaning onto every coincidence. What makes this post-eclipse period interesting is if that accuracy begins repeating itself. Intuition becomes powerful when you stop needing the ending to understand the beginning. That may be one of the stranger abilities this eclipse brings forward for spiritually attuned people, not predicting the future, but becoming much quicker at reading what is already unfolding in front of you. Go back mentally to the days before August 12th and forget about how you felt for a moment. Think about what was actually occupying your attention. What were you trying to make happen? What answer were you waiting for? What decision kept following you around? What seemed so important that you were convinced you needed to figure it out? Now compare that person with yourself today. This is where the post-eclipse effect can become incredibly obvious, because something may have quietly changed position. A goal that was sitting at number 1 in your mind may suddenly be number 5. Something you barely considered before the eclipse may now be impossible to overlook. You may even realize that a question you desperately wanted answered 3 days ago somehow doesn't need an answer anymore because you've stopped caring about the outcome that made the question important in the first place.